Today I'll be talking about the Battle of Khansama, which my battalion 21 Rajput fought in 1971 war, and the battalion got the battle honor for that. Before I come to the actual conduct of the battle, let me quickly recapitulate for you as to what all had happened till then. 71 Brigade, which was a Corps Strike Force 33 Corps, was given the task to expand the Siliguri corridor by advancing along road Pachagar, Boda, Thakurgaon, and exploit up to Kantanagar and expand the corridor by about 90 kilometers. All the brigade tasks were carried out and the brigade move was very successful, and the position on the 6th of December was that the brigade had reached Thakurgaon and was poised for attack on Kantanagar bridge. This task was given to Marathas, but unfortunately, despite 3 attempts, the Kantanagar bridge did not fall. An enemy after each attack had reinforced the locality and it had become a very strong defended locality. By now, by 6th of December, we had also come on the orbit of 6th Mountain Division. So, on 10th of December, the Div Commander decided that there is no point butting your head against Kantanagar bridge, and the brigade must open a fresh access to Saidpur. Saidpur by now had become our terminal objective. And this fresh access was from Pachagar, instead of coming down to Kantanagar, this was from Khansama to Darwani, Darwani to Nilphamari, and Nilphamari to Saidpur. And this place was, Khansama was approximately 20 kilometers up north from Kantanagar. For this task, the brigade chose 21 Rajput. Now very quickly, Khansama was a small township located on the eastern banks of river Buri Tista. It was a small township, and but enemy, knowing its tactical importance, as the alternative access available to Saidpur, had deployed a company plus troops there, about 4 platoons, beefed up by about 60 to 65 Razakars. They were the paramilitary forces. They had also allotted one additional HMG section, one additional MMG section, and a section of 81 millimeter mortars. From the Mukti Bahani sources, we learned that enemy had also laid minefield on the southern, eastern, and northern side of Khansama. The western side was protected by the river itself. So on 11th, when the CO was called in and given the task of capturing Khansama, not later than last light of 13 December, CO decided to reel back the battalion, which was approximately 15 kilometers further southeast, to a place called Birganj. And so 11th was virtually consumed in these various battle procedures, and we had only 12th as one day available for all our preparation for the attack. The enemy had deployed 4 platoons, with 1 platoon guarding the northern approach to Khansama. It was very sensitive to the eastern approach, that was the road access. So 1 platoon was deployed there in a well-fortified locality. The ferry approach, that is the river side approach from the west, was guarded by a platoon lesser section, but they were beefed up by a platoon of the paramilitary forces. And the southern approach was guarded by another platoon, with the company headquarters in the area of Dak Bungalow, which was in center, and this was on a slightly high ground. So company headquarters with the section X, the western platoon, was guarding the Dak Bungalow area, which was kind of a GTI for the company. It had also laid mines on the eastern and southern approach that was reported by the Muktivanis. And so now the CO had only one day to make his plans for the capture of Khansama, and he realized that one day was not enough to carry out any ground reconnaissance. So he requested the brigade for helicopters, his idea was to have a couple of sorties and to take up the platoon commanders and company commanders up in the air and at least show them what the objectives look like. And since close ground reconnaissance was not possible. Our battalion at that stage had, in addition to our own resources, had the fire support available of one mountain regiment, one field battery and one medium battery. And additionally, we had 2 troops of armor, PT-76 tanks, X-16N armor regiment, but they were only available in fire support role. In fact, this also got changed to a roadblock operation for the 2 troops of tanks. And now the CO had this one day available in which he had to carry out reconnaissance for the crossing places. So with the aerial reconnaissance and some ground reconnaissance, we eliminated various approaches and homed down to the southern crossing place, which was about 6 kilometers south of Khansama. And this was largely because the approach up to the crossing place had some tree line cover. And not only that, the river at this place had branched out into 2 channels. So while the width of the river had become a little wider, but the water channel had become just about 2 to 3 feet deep and was easily fordable. In the attack plan, we had considered various approaches. Now, northern approach was ruled out because there was absolutely no cover and the entire movement of the troops would have been out in the open through the paddy fields, and it was the longest approach. The troops would have had to march about roughly 18 kilometers to the crossing place and then come down 6 kilometers for the attack. So, and this would have been out in the open. It was ruled out. The western approach was very well guarded, and unfortunately, after crossing the river, there was no ground available. There's no open space available. So the attack would have actually meant attacking from the river itself. So it was dropped. We chose the southern approach for one more factor, that after crossing the river, there was a fair amount of cover available in terms of bamboo groves and a couple of mango orchards and some low shrubs. So CO felt that since attack was during, finally it was going to be a day attack, that troops will have certain amount of cover available right up to the defenses. In fact, the brigade was adamant that the attack must go by the night 12th, 13th, and they were favoring night attack, but after a lot of heated debate and arguments, the CO finally convinced the brigade commander that since the platoon commanders and the troops have not done any close recce of the objective, let the attack be in the morning of 13th, so that at least they would know their objective and they'll be able to move by fire and move and making use of the cover. Brigade finally gave in, and it was approved that attack will be on the morning of 13th. CO had also made a bid at this stage for airstrike, which was turned down due to non-availability of aircraft, air effort. And thus the broad outline plan was that one company would secure the crossing place, that was Charlie Company, by 4 o'clock in the morning of 13th. One company, that was Delta Company, was then cross over and secure the forward assembly area and also the area for the FUP. And 2 companies, that is Alpha and Bravo companies, will be the assaulting companies in phase 1 of the attack. Armor was to cross over and establish a roadblock on road Khansama Darwani. The plan was approved, and accordingly, on the night 12th, 13th, the Charlie Company moved, and by 4 o'clock, they had secured the crossing place, and the company commander, Major Malik, confirmed that the area is secure, and Delta Company under Major Chauhan then crossed over and secured the forward assembly area and started moving towards the area of likely FUP. So by 7 o'clock, the entire battalion was in the forward assembly area. The armor has started crossing from further down south, and we were drying our clothes and getting ready for the HR at 8 o'clock. With the IO and I were about to take the assaulting companies to the FUP when I got a call from brigade headquarters. The BM called up and said that the air strike which was refused, turned down earlier due to lack of air effort, has now been approved. And the TOT for the aircraft is 9 o'clock on the objective. and therefore you readjust your timings and pull back your troops to at least 2,000 meters away from the objective due to safety reasons. Now, this last minute change, the CO was rather unhappy because it meant that you had to readjust the time, pull back the troops, which had already secured the forward assembly area, but we had no option. And so we then did the readjustment, and at bang 9 o'clock, the two Hunter aircraft from Hashimara Air Base came, and we had never seen a live air attack on objectives. The whole battalion was in a kneel down position in the paddy fields. We were crouching there, and I had never witnessed such a grand spectacle of the hunters diving and strafing and bombing and rocketing the aircraft, the objective. And after about 20 minutes, the aircrafts, while flying back, they probably had spotted us in the paddy field. So they flew very low over us and flapped their wings as if to say, okay, guys, we've done a bit. It's your show now and carry on. So the CO then activated our own RT fire plan, and for about 15 minutes brought in heavy fire on the enemy objectives. So enemy by now was fully prepared to receive us. They knew that something is happening and the attack is going to come from south. And so accordingly, at 10 o'clock, the attack commenced by Alpha Company on the left and Bravo on the right. Charlie Company was reserved for phase 1, and Delta was overall reserved for the final capture of final objective. The initial movement of the two companies came under very heavy and accurate enemy mortar fire and the RT fire in the area between the FUP and the objective. But fortunately, the own artillery suppressed the RT fire very quickly, and the two assaulting companies moved. And when they were about 100 meters short of the objective, they came under very accurate and very heavy HMG and MG fire from the flanking bunkers, and the attack virtually stalled at that stage. At this stage, Lance Nayak Bahadur and Subedar Prem Singh, they took one 57mm RCR gun each, and they crawled up, and they, after a couple of attempts, they destroyed these two bunkers on the flanks. That made a lot of difference, and the attacking companies then closed in. And by 12 o'clock, the front sections were eliminated. And at this stage, the CO also pressed in, seeing the kind of resistance the enemy was given. He had moved in the Charlie Company, which had now got itself wedged in between the company headquarters and the southern platoon. And probably this move totally unnerved the remaining troops of the southern platoon, and they abandoned and moved back. So Bravo Company by then had surrounded the company headquarters locality, but company headquarters was very well guarded by about 5 to 6 concrete bunkers, and they started bringing in very accurate and heavy fire on the attacking troops, making it very difficult to capture. And at this stage, CO brought in the one troop of tanks from the roadblock area and asked them to destroy these bunkers, which they did in no time. In about half an hour's time, all these 5-6 bunkers were destroyed. And at this stage, the company commander, whose bunker also had been hit by the tank fire, he came out and he surrendered along with about 20 Pakistani soldiers. So by about 2 o'clock, 21 Rajput had captured Khansama, in which we captured the 1 officer, 1 GSO, and 20 other ranks. And we also found dead and wounded about 20 of them in the trenches, which only showed that enemy had decided to give in a tough fight. And thereafter, the prisoners were sent back to the brigade quarter, and by 4 o'clock we gave the success signal to the brigade, and 15th morning the access was opened. Thank you.